Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about INHD. It's the top gainer of the day, up 4,000% on the day. And without further ado, let's take a look. I did not trade this today. I was actually sleeping during the intraday session. I'm an idiot, but nonetheless, we're going to take a look at it, see what we can learn from it, see what patterns we can recognize from it, see why it moved 4,000%, what it takes to move 4,000%, what reasons it takes, and then we'll start from where we start. Okay. So as usual, big time frame. Okay. What we noticed immediately is a big dip, okay? Big dip and also another big dip. So no days though, back in the day chart. Ooh, actually incorrect. There is a day here where we can move 262% in one day, okay? So this thing has moved before, okay? And now we're coming off a big sell, coming from an average about $19 and now down to $1, okay? Very interesting. Okay. What we see from the day chart, at least from today's close, we ended up trading about 278 million shares. You can see that here in volume, and then with a free float of only 4.5 million shares. Okay, average valuation right now of a $178 million company, but 4.52 million shares getting rotated. How many times does that rotate? So 278 divided by 4.5. So we rotated 61 times today. So it's going to take a lot of rotation to move these massive amounts of price volume. Okay. So let's take a look at news. Let's see what news we got 13 hours ago. INO Holding, so INHD, enters into development services agreement to build AI-powered used mobile phone sales agent. Interesting. Okay, so we're implementing AI into our company. We're already a pretty big company. Actually, we weren't a big company up until we moved 3,000%. So we're still a small company actually. So if we're currently at $39 and we're at 178 million, then we need to be at $1, which is what? What's fucking 2% times? So we're only a $4 million company to start the day. We're only a $4 million company to start the day. So $4 million company, 4.2 million float, and a 4.5 million float. So very small in both aspects. And we're implementing AI sales agent, project valued at about 3 million. So we signed a $3 million deal to develop AI used phone sales agent system. This is very cool because AI, I mean, like, if it's implemented properly, it'll work very fast, and this will really boost your fucking what do you call it? This will boost your continuation. And then earlier in this month, we also get to see that we have a little bit honestly 60 million at the market equity offering program. So they did an offering program. That's where we see that big dip from 19 down to $1. That's where all that came from. So we have a couple things working for us in this thing. We have your offering, which cleared out everyone else, created a brand new base level. You have a super small company, and you get news of AI integration into your company, and it's serious AI integration into a company that is construction and engineering. So no matter what, being able to get clients and be able to cold call and being able to get sales as quickly as possible is going to be a huge benefit, and it's going to be a big spark, and it's going to be a good ignition thing for what we want to see. And see, a lot of times with stocks, we're going to get your ignition, but really, like, it's not going to stay at $40. Like, I mean, it could go to 80 the next day and then come back down. Eventually it's going to settle back down to an appropriate value. Okay, a lot of times you just need an ignition, right? Okay, let's see what this looks like on the 10-minute. Okay, so we notice that in pre-market here from 4 to for here, we basically did nothing. We did nothing in pre-market. Okay, so you're not going to see this on a pre-market scanner. What you're gonna have to see this in is maybe after the first 30 minutes of intraday. Once 9:30 comes in, after the first 30 minutes, you can see that we went from $1, okay, or even in the first 10 minutes, we moved up 27% in the first 10 minutes on 76,000 volume. Okay, so in 10 minutes, we do 1,000 volume. Oh, we trade about 1 to 2% of our float. and we can move about 27%. Okay, so very inverse ratio, a huge inverse ratio, and that's a good spark, that's a good ignition. That means we have a clean, it means we have no shares above us. That means we can just we separate quick. Okay, separate really quickly. There's no real holders underneath, so the market makers have to make new levels very quickly, and those new levels are going to be very stretched out and very, very big. There's a lot of spread, right? So we see this big spread. Okay, what are the next 10 minutes? Okay, do we get a volume confirmation? Remember, we're going to be seeing this chart like this. We're not going to be seeing the whole picture at once, right? We're going to be seeing this chart kind of like this. So, hold on. So, we get a chart like this. Now, what's going to happen for the next candle? We have, first of all, what we can see is this. We go from 3K in 10 minutes to 70K in 10 minutes to 1.8 million in 10 minutes to 105K. Oh, actually, no, see, it kind of screws up a little bit if you don't have it completely over. To 7 million in 10 minutes, to 19 million in 10 minutes, to 23 million in 10 minutes, to 21 million, right? Then we see 13 million, 8 million, 12 million. Then we see 17 million, 22 million, 12 million, 18 million, 11 million, right? 8 million in 10 minutes, 9 million in 10 minutes, 6 million in 10 minutes, 5 million, 8 million, 7 million, break again, 4 million, 8 million, 10 million, 5 million, 4.3 million, and then 633K. Probably around, these are probably the times, I think this right here is where you halted, okay? Pushed up again, 1.4 million, and then into after hours, we dip off real hard, 800K, 500K, 105K, and we're just settling down to a level, okay? So very noticeable is that when we break out, we have very, very strong volume. And you say, okay, well, we didn't exactly trade more volume, but like it's so close to the volume that we traded before, and everyone's getting solid levels and solid appreciation that we are we're still a driving force. Like still, even though it's not more volume than previous, 18 million in 10 minutes, dude, you traded your fucking float almost 5x, almost 5 times in 10 minutes, okay? And you moved up 30%. So that means these levels are being consistently grabbed and they're being consistently secured, and it's a safe level because everyone's buying into with each other. The levels are slowly raising, so there's less risk at as the price goes up, right? Because we're getting this massive rotation. If we didn't have that massive rotation and you move 80% and no one rotates into it, it's going to have to fall. It's just a gravity thing, okay? Because no one else is coming in. There's no more opportunity. On the 10-minute, we still see these same concepts of make a high, test a high, break out. Make a high, test a high, break out, okay? And this is very, 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 very beautiful because in the idea that you trade less volume, right? So you're like, okay, well, for here, we break out and we trade equal to or more volume and get a good break, come back down, retest our high, and now here we trade less volume, but then we still break. The problem here and the difference here is the volume we trade, here's the big difference. When I'm buying 22 million shares at $3, right? The dollar value of 7 million shares at $6 is roughly equal, right? It's a little bit smaller, but it's still right there, and you're still in your compression series, right? So then you come to here with 10 million shares, right? But at $15, the dollar value amount at $15 is roughly the same or even more than the dollar value amount at 20 million at 3 shares, right? At $3 a share, right? Like 20 million at $3 a share is $60 million traded within that 10 minutes. And now 10 million at $15 is 150 million. So dollar value is actually something you should really be thinking about as these prices skyrocket, okay? As these prices go higher, you have to be understanding that it's about breaking out with appropriate dollar amounts, okay? So breaking out with more volume makes sense, though. As you get to a certain price amount, more volume, you just, like, if you had 60 million traded here, you can't trade. If you traded 20 million, you could trade, but like in that 10 minutes, you still almost double your breakout volume, your breakout dollar amount, okay? Even though it shows only 10 million, 7 million volume, it's still, once you get to those higher prices, that dollar volume is still being condensed and it's still very up. It's very high. You know, you're not losing your volume, okay? It becomes relative, okay? So, but on this chart, you see the same idea. So even on the 10-minute chart, you get this break, you get this retest of your break, now you break out again, confirm with volume, push up again, okay? So this test, this test, this test, now here it breaks through this level, looking at 666 as a level. 666 gets broken through, then pick back up. People want to risk back here, and we have a huge spike in volume, another 37% from your low. People picked it up immediately. From there, we go right to 15, or right to 11. Come and test that high, push again. Okay, come and test that high, push again. Okay, don't get to test that high. We immediately haul. Everyone's in at the same time. A big dip, a big kind of push, and then now you have this risk right here at 44. 44 gets broken through, and now you're settling down, looking to test your lows and push back down if you can't find volume. Okay, let's go to the 1 minute. The 1 minute is going to be something that's very interesting and very beautiful to look at. I guarantee this is going to be a beautiful chart. So let's see what we have here from the start. Okay, from the start, this is your first like 7 to 10 minutes. Okay, this is your first 7 to 10 minutes. This right here, we can notice from these positions that from 2-3. We get 2-3, we have all this time in the world to retest your highs. Don't think a play is not going to be a real play unless you can test your highs, unless you can come back with more volume, unless you can show efficiency within your movement, okay? This is the biggest thing about trading. You need to understand that you're going to have time to get into these plays, and if there's a play that you're in that it feels like it's not following these structural confirmations, and structurally it's going to not do or not be profitable for you. If it's not in a structural, contextual movement, you're not going to have any fun trading this stuff, okay? So what do we get? We go from $1, literally $1 to $2, okay? So 15% and then 41% immediately picked up. Hard as shit picked that up, okay? Roll up, roll up, roll up, and now we're looking to test that 166 range. 166 gets picked up immediately, okay? Immediately. Look at this volume, how it picks up, right? And down here at the bottom, we have big ass volume. So you get your break. Well, actually, you get this to 125 to 140, and people don't realize this that this right here is 7%. This right here is 15% on $10,000. If you make 15% in 10 minutes or 1 minute, you just make $1,500 in 1 minute. Okay, $1,500. So don't really understand that these movements are this is the most fruitful of the day, but these are very fruitful, okay? So we come down, and now we're here, right? So we come up, now we're gonna come to retest our high at 166. Push back down, push back down, push back down, and now push back up from this low here. We made this low, okay? Tried to test the low, made another low, honestly pretty much the same low, and then come and break in this low again. So now 195 would be your risk, right? 195 gets accepted. And it's accepted from going from 1.2 million to 2.4 million volume. Okay, that's a true acceptance, and you actually get to spike and taste a little bit from your highs and kind of get past your high from previous. But the truth is, you get that break from there. Okay, so now everyone's going to be thinking about 193 again as a risk. Okay, we push down, and look, that's beautiful. 193, 2 o'clock. It's about the same price. Okay, but look again. We see here we make a high we can't break. Okay, we make a low. Okay. Come back to try to test our low and come to retest our high. We confirm with volume. Our volume is not dying. Our volume is not going away. And then what we see here is another continuation, another slight dip in volume. And then we have here another retest to make a new low. So we couldn't get past this low, couldn't test that. We push back down to a new low, test this low, and then we come back with this explosive 2.7 million volume, going from 982K to 2.7 million volume, and this is no mystery as to why we did so much volume into this candle rather than this candle, because everyone is waiting for that structural confirmation of if this is going to test this low and make a new low, or is it going to test this low and expand from here. Okay, now since we've expanded, now we have an idea of risk at 250. Okay. Now, risk at 250 gets touched and it gets accepted. Boom, there's your acceptance right there, okay? Now we have an idea for risk at 278. And when we get accepted, we also get accepted with 2.1 million volume, okay? We go from 1.7 to 1.1 to 2.1, okay? So we double our volume when we break out. And when we double our volume, not only are we trading 50% of our float on the 1 minute chart, but we also move up 10%, okay? We also move up 10%. Now you have the idea of 278 as a risk, okay? 278 as a risk. People love it. People fucking go crazy because they saw this action before and they immediately push up again. 3 million shares, okay? Now we have 305 as a risk, okay? 305. Okay, 305 tries to come down and touch. It gets about 310 and we immediately come back up. So we create a low. Then we come back up. We test that. We push up past, try to test that low. Try to make a new low. We can't with less volume than the previous selling low. come back in with another hard confirmation. Now you have a risk at about 3.4, even about 3.449. Push back down, see even to 3.2 right here. Try to make that new low, or actually test your previous high from where it was at 3.3. Push back down again, and with less seller volume and very strong compression. Like, look, we're trading 2.2 million shares after moving up almost like from 1 to 3 here. We're up 300%, right? But the difference between this and something else that's up 300% is that you're trading 50% of your flow every fucking minute. So all of these levels that are getting compressed into and getting pushed into, that means that everyone, it becomes very, very fucking stable, right? Like, even if you bought this top here at 269, you're only going down to, say, 5%, 3%, so only losing 10% after going from 213 to 280, which is about 5, 12, and then 6. So 5, 12, 6, 17, 23%, even a little more than 23%, only losing 10%, and testing your previous high, and coming back with more volume, and rotating a shit ton of volume, and you have good news, and this thing is previously known to run. You have all these things working for you, okay? This is what I mean by structural confirmation. You have all these things working for you, right? That's the big idea, okay? So now, once we push from here, now we think the idea, okay, so we're trying to make this new low and test. We still have the idea of 338 as a risk, okay? 338 gets picked up, okay, with hard volume. The next thing, we test again. Now we're back to 3.3, looking for this volume. Look how we retest this low. Can't make a new low. Push down to the same low. Push down again to this new low. Like, okay, so make this low, compress hard, make another low, make another low. Let's see if we can test this new low. Okay, so we push back, test this low, push back again at 3.4. Okay, now we have a risk at either 3.5 or even 3.36. 3.36 gets accepted. Okay, so this new compression to try to test this low, it doesn't work. Gets accepted, and then boom, we get this hard hit at 4. Hard hit at 4. Okay, so what you could be asking yourself is, do I buy now or do I sell? The idea is structural confirmation, okay? If you're in at 2.2, there's really two options, okay? Take your profit or wait and see if we can retest this high, because if we break out from 3.4, as long as we don't go really below 3.4 in a really meaningful way, then there's no reason to not be holding this play, okay? So we're in here at 3.4. We push up hard, 3.6 million volume in 1 minute, okay? It can be difficult to trade more than that, though. The way we're trading, and we're just going to see how it slowly and very uniformly holds itself up over this 9:30 to 16 time frame. Okay, we're going to see how this thing moves. It's very, very alien compared to a lot of other stocks, because this is the definition of pure participation, pure movement, pure trading. Okay, meaning pure structural confirmation. Very, very beautiful structural confirmation. Okay, so we get this push here to 446, right? Now everyone's thinking the idea, okay, risking a 402, maybe even a little lower. 402 gets touched and tested, okay? Boom, confirmed. Okay, now we have an understanding of risk at 435 from where we broke from, okay? 435 gets down and touched, okay? See these ideas? See these ideas? People will buy these breakouts, and when they get confirmed, people will be looking for a retest. The idea of a retest is that everyone who made money before you wants to sell and take a little bit of profit, and everyone who saw that this movement went up, they want a better position, a more safe position. They don't want to buy the top of the breakout. That's why you see every time you break out, you come down with a little bit of selling volume. Okay, breakout, sell volume, breakout, sell volume, breakout, sell volume, breakout, sell volume, right? We want this rotation. We want this breathing motion of the stock every single time, because what happens is if you just sell, that means you're not getting that breath. No one's picking it up. No one cares, and it's going to die from that position, okay? Or it's going to find a new base to where it can safely breathe from. These are these ideas, okay? So now we have this low, okay? We're going to come up and retest this low. Okay, and we don't make a new low. We compress here hard. Now we have an idea of risk at 4.2, okay? What we're going to get here is we try to push up, don't really get that, come through, still risking 4.2, make it low, okay? Try to test this low, still kind of lingering in the same position, okay? And remember, this is coming off of and afterwards of currently we're up 324% from market open, okay? So these ideas can be scary, but you still have this idea, this general idea of this risk at 3.8 here, right? So you still have this really working for you. We push down again, okay, pushing down again, making a new low, retest that low, making a new low, okay, and slowly losing our volume here. And now, boom, now we try to make a new low, but we just stay stagnant. And we're still trading 1.2 million shares, so people are slowly getting in. Now we're coming to retest this previous high that never really got a break test. Remember, see, we got here, and we broke to here, and we broke to here, and we broke to here. We never got this retest here at 340, okay? So come to see everyone come down and retest at 340. Wow, how does that work? Wow, we came and retested 340, okay? And we did not lose our volume. We slowly slithered out, okay? And we know now that we can trade up to 3.4 million, up to 2.6 million, up to 3, right? And so now we're currently at an idea of 411,000 and now retesting our high, and now we get our confirmation volume here from 400K to 800K, okay? So now you have an idea of risk at 378, okay? We push up from 378, okay? From here, we looking to retest 390, okay? Retest 390 comes down and gets confirmed, closes higher. Now we get the idea of retested 402, okay? 402 comes in, breaks out. Now we're getting this idea of retested 429. 429 comes down, retest our previous high at 40, correct? Okay, so we retest this idea. We come down, try to push it into a low. Now we're going to look to see if we can test this low. We test this low when we break out from it, okay? So we broke out from that low. People could be looking at 405 or even 440 as an idea for an entry, an even idea for a risk. 440 does come and get touched, and now we push back up with 3.1 million volume. See, look at this breakout. This breakout's nothing to be playing about. Boom, 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 and then boom, out of nowhere. 2.3 million volume going from 436K compression, okay? So 436K compression in this idea is very beautiful because you trade 10%, you don't move anywhere, 10% new shares coming into it, and on track to rotate your flow every 10 minutes. This is a beautiful idea. And then, boom, out of nowhere, 2.3 million volume. That's 50% of your flow immediately, boom. So everyone's in there, new level. This whole thing is up 400%, but we're safe here. We're safe here because we have risk at 453, right? 453 gets tested, and we push again from 453. Now at 3.1 million volume with more confirming breakout volume. So even more people are in this play. Now it's even safer. Now we have an idea of risking 495 from where we closed, or even maybe higher to 504. We get that idea. So now we're going to come up and push break from that with 2.2 million. A little bit less volume. So what's going to happen is we're going to see if we can get a retest of this high. We get a retest of this high. We push back down. Now we have an idea of, are we going to push back past this low again, or are we going to come back down even lower and retest the low? So we compress again hard. Now we have an idea of 513 as a risk. 513 as a risk. It's come and collected. So now we're in here with 2.4 million volume. Okay, so we don't get the breakout. We come back down, retest this low. Okay, so now we're at a low, retest, and now we get our breakout, boom, with another 291,000, 2.9 million, 3 million shares again, and then only trading 700K, a million, 3 million shares, okay? Now you have the idea of 5-4 risk, okay? 5-4 risk only actually comes down to 567 right here, okay? Which is understandable because we had this previous high right here, broke out from here, right? So understandable. It's still kind of a nuanced thing. So we push up from here with another 2.5 million, slowly compressing, not even getting a chance to get a low. Another high, okay? So now we're retesting, risking about 587, okay? 587 gets accepted with 2.7 million volume, okay? So we're still very, very, very healthy. We're still very healthy, and we're slowly pushing in, pushing in. As these stocks climb higher and higher and higher, the gain percentages will be higher and higher and higher and higher. The biggest thing to worry about is if you get too much gain percentage and then you fizzle out, right? This is the idea. And remember, we're going to slowly trade less volume comparatively to our previous positions, but we're trading more dollar volume, right? We're trading more dollar volume. This is the more important part. The difference between 3 million at 370 and 3 million at 540 is almost 100% difference, okay? So you're still trading more dollar volume, okay? This is very important to understand. Because you can see this idea, when we end up coming to here, we're only trading in this position right here, we only trade 600,000 shares, but you're at 37 fucking dollars, right? This is the idea here. Okay, so let's get back to where we were at 645. Now we get this huge break, okay? But this kind of left off, and we never really got to be comfortable here testing our 529 range. We never got that retest, and we just kind of pushed from here, right? Push from here, and we gave everyone from 5 to 694, which is a very good percentage amount, about 34%, even a little more, 35%. So huge gain, okay? We go and make a low with heavy sell volume, 2.4 million, so 50% rotation out. This is going to give everyone a chance to get back in, and we can't if on the retest, we come back up a little bit, sell back down a little bit. So now we're looking at this 559 range. Previously, pretty much where we wanted to break out from and where we wanted to be in the first place. So we come back down to this 559 range. We lose a little bit of our buying volume, 997,000, but still it's relative in the idea that you're still up to a certain degree, to a certain higher price. So your dollar volume is still still rotating in efficiently. Okay, this is your idea. Okay, so 997,000 to 1.14 million. Is that a confirmation? It's pretty close to it, right? We 1.5, we 50% more volume. Okay, now we push back down to retest that idea of 605. You're always going to get in a chance to retest your ideas, okay? And the truth of the matter is, like, this is, if you don't get a chance to retest your ideas, then you don't need to be into the play, okay? You want to have structural confirmation and everything working in your favor. And with this pre-market, I mean, with this intraday movement, you see that we have insane active participation, okay? And these are the ideas you're thinking about, okay? You're not thinking about, oh man, we're already up 400%. You're thinking about, okay, test of the low, test of the high. How much volume is being inserted, right? It doesn't matter the percentage that you're up if you're still going to move another 300%. What matters is the structural confirmation of what you're looking at, okay? So push back down from here, losing volume, and then boom. Now we're starting to step back up again. Now you have risk at 621. 621 comes down and gets touched, gets accepted. Boom. Now you get that push to 700. I mean, to 7. How does 7 react? Now everyone wants to still be back in at 621. If 7 happens so fast, it happened in 1 minute, okay? And it happened with 2.9 million volume. That means we're trading about 80 to 70% of our entire float, 75% of our entire float, or a little less than that, about 65% of our float. So everyone got into that position right there, and it becomes a little bit crowded. So what happens is we're going to want to see a little bit of a drain off. But the beauty of this idea is that when you're at 630 and you move to 780, now when you come back down to 630, the idea lingers in everyone's head that I can still make 15% from this position if we trade the appropriate amount of volume. We do get a hard sell because we still have a lot of selling weight from people who are in real early and here, people who bought at the top who didn't really know if they didn't really understand the structural confirmation of what they're looking at, okay? So but from here, we just grind right back up into these levels, right? Slowly making new highs, slowly testing, slowly compressing, making sure that we're trading the appropriate amount of volume, making sure that everyone gets a chance to see this idea and everyone gets a chance to work together to make this thing move forward, okay? These are the ideas, okay? When you can understand in the game of trading that this is a game of teamwork, then you can really understand that you have time and patience is going to be your number one friend. Patience and correct execution is going to be your number one friend, okay? So boom, now we click up. Now we're past the 7.0 range, okay? So from here, we're still looking at 695 as our retest. We don't get that 695 retest immediately. Immediately, what happens is we get another 2.7 million volume, okay? And then another 2 million volume on 8%. So we're getting 9% minute, 7% minute, 8% minute. So almost a 9% minute, okay? So we go almost 27% in 3 minutes, okay? Is this an active participatory stock that people are rotating into? It is, because not only do we move 27% in 3 minutes, but we rotated in about 100 to 200% of our float, okay? So that means we're actively moving into it, and everyone's kind of accepting these levels. These levels are being accepted. Now we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to retest our previous highs, okay? We never got our test from the 749. We kind of did, but not really. On a smaller time frame, on a micro time frame, you can understand that these things are probably moving in little adjustments to where they go up, test high, go up, test high, and then push up, and then test high, and then push up, test high. But in the 1 minute, you're going to have a little bit less information, a little bit less segmentation to see these things, okay? So 5 second, 15 second, 30 second can be there, but the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute are going to be the big outliers and the ideas that are really constructing in uniform, okay? Really protected, really stable, right? We want stability and we want protection and we want clear defined ideas, okay? So now we get our test at 750. And now we get our big push, right? Retesting this low and respecting our 7 level. And not only that, we go from 728K sell volume to 2.7 million buy volume, another 9%, another participatory movement to push the stock up. It's not like you're doing all this volume for nothing. We're slowly building and people are making money. So the more people make money, the more confidence the market gains, okay? Especially as structure is being confirmed the entire time. This is the idea, okay? So we break out past actually with the beautiful 7%, 2.7 million, okay? Now everyone's going to be thinking about this retest at 826, okay? So now we're going to create a low, lose volume, right? Don't get to retest that low, create another low, and then push back down. Now we broke our previous high, okay? So now we'll be looking for a low until we can come back and reset to make a new high. We're always going to be looking to retest our low and come back down, right? Broke our previous high from where we were looking for, and now we're going to come back down and retest to make a new low. Retest, right? And slowly gaining sell volume, okay? Until boom, now we click back with 886,000. Remember, we're losing volume, though we're at a higher price, okay? So dollar volume amount is still staying efficient. This is the idea. So now we push down to here, okay? Now we're here at 7.0. So now we're thinking to ourselves, okay, retest this previous low at 826, and now we have risk at 757 if we wanted it, right? Now we push back, come down, and we test this low. Don't get past it, okay? Lose volume and sell back down even more. Now we get this kink right here in the armor, 1 million on 3%, okay? This is your idea. You're already up a really good amount of money from $1 to 9. So you're up 900% in the day, okay? So it's going to be a little bit harder to move and it's going to be a little bit slower, but the idea is if you could trade the appropriate amount of float, you're still not going to have a problem with forward movement, especially if structure is being confirmed. So here's your idea. You go to You push back up. Now you have the idea of risk at 757, okay? And you actually get to break your previous low, okay? This is beautiful. Now everyone's going to come back down and try to see 744. 744 gets accepted for a long time, and then eventually, but look how your volume works, right? Volume comes in, pushes in a little bit hard, right? So we're still rotating pretty good. We're rotating about 20% a minute, maybe a little bit less than that, 20% a minute, okay? So, and respecting this previous low, taking forever to try to make this previous low. We push back past this high, past this previous low at around like, probably like 770 or so. Push back up. Now everyone's going to risk 770. 770 risk is kind of deflated down here at this 1,007% sell volume, okay? But immediately we're still sideways trading, okay? Especially up 900% and still rotating our flow in pretty efficiently. So we're going to see what happens and how we test these lows. And I guarantee you this break of 860, 850 is going to be probably one of the best things to see in this play, okay? So we push back down, try to make a new low. We don't make a new low. And now we come back in with more buying volume. Okay, so now all this structured confirmation, all this push from here, we're going to see if we can retest this low and make a new low. Okay, so we try to make a new low. Ooh, we do make a new low. Beautiful. Look at this, because look at this. So push back up. Okay, retest this high. Push back down, make a new low. Never get to really retest these lows. Come back down immediately, right? 770, losing your volume, losing buy volume, right? Now it's 740 as your low. Push back up past 740, okay? But we can't get a breakout. We don't have any huge confirming volume. We already did all this work from before, so maybe we want to take a breather, right? Now we push back down from this low after slowly losing our volume. Look how this volume trickles out. This is not positive buying volume in the moment, right? Obviously, any nutsack could have been like, well, you could have bought out 773, 730, and eventually it will went to $66. You gotta think about that. Okay, but in the moment, this right here is not your most profitable idea. Your profitable idea is to where you come back down, make this new low, retest this new low, and step in with hard fucking volume, right? Hard fucking volume, hard movement too. The difference between this right here, we never break out, we never get, so we push past our previous low, but we never get that lift. We don't get that lift to push past these previous levels into forward in to give people more and to give people more space when everyone lifts into these new prices. Right now everyone's staying here and everyone's comfortable here. They rush down a little bit of selling from previous, and now people step back in. This is the whole idea, okay? So we get this, we sell back down. Now we have this low at 780. Come back down to test it. Come back up to test it. Don't have that explosive volume to break past it. We push back down again. Hard low volume, and now you have the idea at 648. Even 530, even 552 is your new low on the 1 minute, okay? So when you break 552 and you have expressive more volume coming in, this is where you start having these ideas of, okay, now if we can hold this level, if I can risk about 6 o'clock, then from this previous low, we could always see if we can make this previous low, but then what you're going to get is your volume confirmation on the buy. So now you're saying, okay, risk at 662 is possible for sure. But then again, people may want to jump into this immediately because this whole thing was being held right here, okay? So we're going to see this from here. So as soon as, and right here we get a halt, okay? The halt is going to change the game a little bit. The halt is when the SEC stops the stock because it's moving so aggressively, and people, I guess they want to give people a chance to reconsider their decisions, you know what I'm saying? And it makes sense, you know, you're up 900% already, just moved 19% again in 1 minute. The stock hasn't done anything for the past 3 weeks. So SEC halts it, and you get some interesting trading activity, right? You get a pushback to 13, so we go from 7 to 13. That's almost 100% in about 7 to 8 minutes, okay? So we see this halt actually goes from 250 to 1306. So we went for 16 minutes on a halt and a break where no one was able to trade, no one was able to make an entry, and so all that time enters, and now as soon as we break out of this halt, people want to buy immediately. People are really confident in this stock, people are really loving this stock, and when we see our volume, we go from this breakout of 1.4 million to this breakout of 2.7 million, okay? So now we have the idea of risk at 949, okay? 949 will be from your previous break, or pretty much from your high, okay? So you break immediately, you break to 13, push, but now you lose volume on your buy, okay? Now you're going to come back down, and we're going to see if we can retest this 9 level. Actually, first high was now 10 since you made a new high, so you're going to retest this one, retested, push back up, lost volume, came back down, expensive selling volume, coming to retest this level at 10. Now we're going to retest this low, pushing here. Now you have a risk at 11, okay? 11 gets kind of tested, 1181. Now we come back in, and we get this hard push into this volume, okay? Now you have risk at 13, okay? Push up again from 13, from 14, so 1.8 million volume, and another expansive 1.7 million volume, right? So you push back down. Now we're looking to test 14.0. Okay, 14.0 gets touched, and then it gets picked up from here. My God, is this not the same pattern every single time, right? Sell, 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 testing your lows, boom, immediately break. Okay, now you have the idea of 16 as a risk. 16 gets meddled in for a little bit, and do we want to be here? What happens at 16? We trade 1.5 million volume. Okay, so that means that even though we just moved up on 670K on 11% volume, the next candle moves about 1% on close, even less than 1% on close, but we fill in with 35% of our float. Okay, so that means tons of people are in the stock, and it's not 35% people bought at that position, it's 35% shares rotated at that position. That's why we don't see an immediate movement upwards, but the idea is participation. Okay, there's participation at this level, which is beautiful to look at. Okay, now boom, immediately push back up. Now you have the idea of risk at 1733. Push back immediately. Now you have the idea of risk at 18. Okay, push back up immediately, and then boom, there's your halt, and then there's your giant movement. There's your last stand. Okay, from here we get a halt, and then boom, 600K for 100% in 1 minute. And at this halt, we go from 1344 to 1550. So that means from 1344 to 1550, 16 plus about 50 minutes. So we have 1344 actually is an hour and 50 minutes plus 16 minutes. So almost 2 hours this thing is stuck and doesn't do anything. And then we push up hard to 44, okay? So everyone wanted to be in at 20. Now, the idea is 20, okay? Buying the break at 43 doesn't make any fucking sense, okay? You want to be in at about $20. That was your previous high that broke from, okay? So we push back down. Oh my goodness, what happens? We literally, look at this, the low of this candle is $23, okay? Did we get to that 20 range? We did, and you got to think, it's not going to be an exact specific number, but it's going to be very close to that range, okay? That range gets seen into after hours. Now there's no more halts, there's no more circuit breakers. Pre-market and after hours do not have halts, only intraday session, okay? From there, we push up hard. Now you have the idea of risk at 30. Push up hard again, push up hard again. But from here, now you have the risk at 44. 44 gets stepped through, kind of through, and then now you get the break immediately, and now after hours session kind of just dims out. So this is your whole idea. And look how flat this looks like compared to this last section. But this whole idea is a movement up, a settle, a movement up, a settle. Look how this thing just does the same thing every single fucking time, right? Push back up, make a high, make a low, retest your previous high, break out with hard volume, right? Come down to retest that previous high, come down to retest the previous high, lose a little bit of your sell volume, expansive volume again, retest this previous high, push back up, retest the high again, push back up hard, come back through, and then settle in. Look, and we didn't get this retest at 279 until about right here, about 279.3, right? Because we broke out, pushed, came through here, we broke this previous high, pushed back down, held that previous high, came in with more expansive buy volume. Now we come in at 350 is your idea for a risk. And boom, look, it doesn't happen immediately, but 350 is a beautiful idea because once you have here at 402, now everyone's risking 402, you're already up so much, you just bought the top of the breakout, and what happens at 304, we lose our volume and our buy section, and then we push back down past this previous high, right? To come down to this previous high, right? To where we wanted to be anyways, right? And even a little lower, because I told you, like right here, literally, where you wanted to be anyways. People push into that, and now, boom, look at your buy volume. Look how that comes in. Look how that really surges in. Now you have this idea of risking at 405, okay? 405 gets touched, push back down. Now 386 is your idea. Now push in with another 805. After trading 1.8 million, 805 reset. Push back in, hard push, hard push. Now the idea of 505, does 505 get held? 505 does get held and it does get accepted. Okay, now the idea of 542, does 542 get held? Even from here, we push up hard. Look at this, boom, 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 and then boom. We come back down to this 548 level very quickly though, and immediately pulled back up. Right? Now we come here, looking to break. We break out hard. Okay, now we're still the idea of 628. Now, like, we're not going to buy the top of these breaks ever. We're always going to be looking for the retest and the structural confirmation because the idea is these people underneath this made fucking money, right? So they're going to want to sell. And obviously, a lot of them are going to hold, and they're going to see the confirmation through this as the play develops, okay? Like, as you get higher, you see these farther drawbacks. As you gain more and more money, you see these farther drawbacks, right? Hard drawbacks. Like from here, from 9 to 5, as a short seller, you could have even made 43% in 20 minutes, okay? Pushing down to there. These same ideas, but then you get this low. Okay, rip through these previous highs. Now you're down to the 688 level where you wanted to be in the first place. People accept that 688 level for a second, but trying to retest this low and trying to break this high with less volume at the same price level. Okay, and we don't get that. We kind of simmer down. We get to this point and we sell back down hard, pushing through. Okay, now we made this low. Now we had this low at 776 was our previous test. Now we come back and test that low. Okay, we test it, and now we make a new low. Okay, now from 723 is your idea. From 723, we kind of test for a second, and then we boom, expansive sell volume, pushing back hard. Now the idea to retest at 581 because that was your new low. So push, 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 retest at 581, push hard. Now look how buying volume steps in hard. Boom, look at this right here. Buying volume steps in immediately. Okay, now you have risk every time you make a new high, you have the risk of that previous high. So we linger around the idea, then boom, there's your expansion. There's your hard expansion. You get your halt, and then you get your halt for 16 minutes. People immediately want to buy into it. Now you're up hard. Now your idea of 1066 as a 1066 or even 9 as an idea. Okay, so once we push past here, now your idea is pushing to 1143. We get this here, and we can't trade more volume from this position, and everyone kind of gets stuck into this position. So now you're thinking this idea, okay, so now your high gets broken. Okay, now you're back to this high at 1076. You make this low, you retest this low, you push back hard. Okay, now your idea at 1129 from where you were, 1129 gets pushed down towards and accepted. Boom, look at this. Look how this buy volume just stays concrete through the entire way. Boom, and now you get this acceptance. Okay, now you're the idea of 1313. Right, and you don't even really get to 13. So after you push past the second time, your actual idea is actually at 14. So 14 kind of gets touched through, but then sell volume kind of dips off, and then boom, now you get your idea at 17. Beautiful, just push right through it. Right, like this is the idea. And once you get this volume, now you have your idea at 16. Okay, so you buy at 6. So even buying at 1669, risking 16, it's like that. That's just a beautiful idea. And then you push through another big push, another what the fuck is that? 1.5, like we're just trading inordinate amounts of volume, but now we see what it takes to move something like this in a continuous fashion. All right, you need heavy float rotation and appropriate float rotation. You can't just rotate for no reason. You have to be at structural levels, and you see every time you hit with volume, you're at a breakout level, right? You break out with that volume, then you retest, break out with that volume, retest. It's the same cycle over and over and over again. And that's what we're looking at here with INHD. So if you traded this and you made money on this, beautiful job. If you traded this and you lost money on this, just do a little bit more research, make your own videos on trading, figure out what you're doing wrong, and then just capitalize on the next opportunity, okay? Your best trade is always going to be in the future. Your best trade will always be in the future. You're always going to miss plays. You're always going to be human, okay? So let's remember this when we're trading. Let's remember that this is a death by 1,000 cuts. 1,000 trades later, after always reviewing, after always looking, after always understanding, you should be becoming very sharp, and you should never have to learn how to make money in a different way again unless the entire planet gets nuked, okay? So this is beautiful. Now, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. We could even see that, even for continuation, that we have this high here, right? Now we broke through that previous high. Now we're going to try to retest this low here at 39. So if 39 gets broken through with structural confirmation, we could have a good day for a push into pre-market for the next day. The problem is, though, we're already up 4,000%, which is ungodly. And then another problem could be that you have a lot of weight in the news. I'm not sure if it really coordinates to the idea that, you know, after all the hype was gone, after everyone is settled in, and now that the company is at a 178 million market cap, it's going to be harder and slower to move it to a real advantageous position, right? An advantageous position to the idea that you can make 30% every couple minutes, okay? So these are your ideas. This is the breakdown of INHD. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope this helps you with your trading in the future. Yeah, thank you guys very much for watching.